It's quite shocking to think that they're doing better in a bad environment than they are out in their natural. They're just getting their wings now, but they haven't learned to fly yet.
The black-bill's critically endangered. Yeah, their population's nosedived over the last few decades. They're predicted to decline another 70% or so over the next 30 years. These guys usually breed on braided riverbeds. That's where they usually nest, and because they nest on the ground, they're really vulnerable to introduced mammals.
This is Charlesworth wetland, and when we built this reserve, one of the key species we wanted to attract here were red-billed gulls and black-billed gulls. We knew that 130 years previously, in the 1880s, 1890s, they were nesting on salt marshes in Canterbury. So we replicated the habitat. It worked. Within 3 months of us building these islands, those gulls were nesting for the first time in over a century. Something happened, we don't know, but for some reason the birds were driven up onto the road. It may have been a dog that got in here, it may have been a person. When they got on the road, the traffic got into them and killed quite a few. And adults were coming down to protect young or to stand beside injured young, and they were getting hit by cars, and quite a few of them were killed. And then the subsequent year they bred in the CBD.
We rang Doc to find out what the rules were, because nobody really understands, and once you understand what the rules are, we thought, oh dear. And then we realised that it wasn't slowing our project down. We had plenty of time. Doc were very good because they were the experts, and the message was leave them alone.
I think superficially this site's got all the makings of a perfect island. It's protected by water. It's got these elevated beams where they can be protected against floods if that should happen. So that's sort of what they've evolved to seek out.
I've captured about 20 alone that had rubbish around their legs, and some of them I could save, but some of them were pretty bad. A lot of them last year were getting sick and they wouldn't eat, but yeah, it may have been diseases.
And the water was a worry, so we pumped most of the water out. Still a wee bit in there, but most of it's gone.
Is it a problem for you guys?
I mean, they're endangered, aren't they? So you can't really do too much about it.
Who cleans it?
Not me.
What are you trying to do here?
I'm trying to get the birds to another location closer to their natural habitat. I tried talking to Doc and the councillor, but they were adamant that no, you should not feed wildlife, which I agree with. I don't like feeding them, but given the circumstance they're in, and from what I witnessed last year, I kind of made the decision to, do something rather than nothing.
We don't want to make them rely on humans for their food, because next year it's very likely that they won't be nesting here and that they'll be in a more natural environment.
Oh, they definitely won't want to come here next year because we'll have people working here, and it probably won't look like this. It'll be cleaned up and it'll be a hive of activity, and they don't like hives of activity.
This was a suburb once, the older part of Bexley. It's now obviously red zone. The plan is to remove parts of that bank to enable a very, very shallow flooding of tidal water on spring tides into here. And on some of those remaining parts of the bank, we will make it into islands that birds like the black-billed gull and the red-billed gull can nest on. I think people in Christchurch don't really understand that this is the central nodal point for wetland bird life in the South Island. There's much more wildlife here than anywhere else in the hinterland. There's more than 249 species of bird recorded in Christchurch, more than any other part of New Zealand. There are nationally and internationally important conservation needs right here, and an insufficient number of people and resource to really protect and enhance those populations.